Hello YouTube, my name's Sean Connors and this is Outsiders, and welcome back. And today we're going to be reviewing Star Wars. Now this is one of the modern books that are out there now. This is modelled off the D20 system, and then we have in the past West End Games Star Wars system. Now this is not a review about both systems, but this is an interesting way of analysing this review. If we're thinking Star Wars in terms of the films, we have the original 3 films. I love the original 3 films, and this has that beautiful feel about it. You know, this is a system that really encompasses what makes Star Wars brilliant. And then we have the 3 more modern films. Nothing wrong with them as such, but you can sort of understand why George Lucas decided that he would start his particular films where he did, because he saw that as the most important part of the story. Although the overall grand design was brilliant, it just wasn't as good as those 3. And although technology moved forward, this is just not as brilliant as this. This really feels like Star Wars for so many reasons. It has a quality that's very, well, old-fashioned, but it has all the sort of looks and hallmarks of a Star Wars book. It was brought out 10 years after the film, so this came out in 1987, 10 years after, obviously 10 years after the first film was released. It oozes pictures and adverts in the book from the era. There's one on a TIE fighter, there's one on a 4-week galactic tour of the Empire. The templates for the characters really stand out. They're simple but fun, so as you can see, if I just hopefully hold one up close, these are these little templates down here. They're really, really good. You get as a player, you just get the feeling. When I remember playing this game, I remember the feeling I tried as a sort of an apprentice Jedi, you know. I felt as if I was like Luke Skywalker. I felt as if my character had the Force abilities, but they were growing inside me. I couldn't always pull them off, but I did feel I was special. And this system so encompassed this so much. And I'm looking back on this now, and I recently did a review of Babylon 5 role-playing game, and I said it's without a doubt one of my favourite fantasy, futuristic sci-fi games. And it is, because it encompasses a certain quality, but actually, looking at this now with sort of rekindled eyes, I have to be honest and say, you know what, actually this is really quite inspiring stuff, because there's something about the way that this is set out. It's really not that difficult to do characters. Again, this is very rules light. There's very little to it. I mean, you know, the combat charts at the back of the book sort of give you an idea. It's all very simple. Everything's but modelled off D6s. You get, you know, you might be, depending on what skill set you've got, you might be using a 2 dice challenge or a 3 dice challenge, a 4 dice challenge. They're all very basic systems in the grand scheme of things. But for me, it really encompasses it. They added quite a few books to it. I've got a few here, so they've got like the Star Wars source book, and again it adds more data around the various, beautifully done. You can clearly see it's come straight from the films. All the various things that you might need information on, various creatures, different vehicles for getting around in. But it's just something about the system, and it's so difficult to put your finger on it. It's easier, I suppose, if you try and explain the two. This is a D20 engine, and this was made for a fantasy system. It just doesn't convert as well, unfortunately, to sci-fi. You can't help but see, if you're a 3.5 or 3rd edition, 3rd era role player like me, in terms of, you know, I've got all the books going right the way back, I have a real problem looking at this with anything other than miffed opinions, probably is the best way to describe it. I feel disappointed because I don't think there's some nice touches in here, but it just isn't Star Wars. I think even if I started on this, I don't think I'd be seeing this as Star Wars. This just is a bolt-on. This is somebody who thought we can turn D20 engine, it's a very good engine, into a particular system. Let's use Star Wars. It just doesn't work. These just ooze the Star Wars films. They come across as the classic books that they really deserve to be. And I look at them now and I think, you know, looking back on it, it's so much fun to do. I mean, I'd seriously, if you're a Star Wars fan, and I know there are quite a few of you out there, a lot of you have been badgering me for a review on Star Wars. I didn't really want to get into a debate between the two systems, but without a doubt West End Games is superior. If you can get hold of some copies, whether you go through eBay or Amazon, I seriously recommend it. And if anybody out there, this is particularly directed at you, Ben, is struggling to find these books and says, you know what, Sean, I just can't get hold of these things for love nor money. Well, Ben, let me know. And just by pure chance, you know, I happen to have a spare copy of these. You're more than welcome. I can't be any fairer than that. But it's an absolutely cracking system. It's a lot of fun. It is Star Wars through and through. I think there's a lot to recommend it. I think, you know, looking at the pluses, easy to roll up characters in. It's rules light. It's fun. It definitely feels like what it's supposed to be. This is a system that was created for the feel of Star Wars. This isn't something that was created then Star Wars was bolted on. So overall, I'd have to give this review out of 4, 3.5. It's not quite a 4, but it's very, very close. I have to be honest, it's the most fun sci-fi game that I've seen, and it really does capture the films ever so well. Most things are covered in the core books. It's not very difficult to pick up and play. I love the feel of the various classes. You've got everything you can think of from the film and a ton more. So if you want to play a smuggler, you want to play an Imperial Stormtrooper as a starting point and then build the character off in a new direction, you can do that. You can play a pilot. It's really well covered in here. I think the ship-to-ship combat's fun. I like the progression of the way characters grow. I think it oozes Star Wars. The Force abilities are so well covered in this. The various old modules that exist for this are fantastic. I've got quite a few here. And I'll pick a couple out at random just to quickly show you. In here we've got, you know, some simple scenario stuff. They talk about, you know, a various story, and they're really good because these little books, which are quite hard to get hold of now, cover off various areas from the films and other bits in a real lot of detail that I love. So it is a fun system. It's so worth finding again. I've been quite inspired by actually reading up about it again and having a look through the books. It's clearly 100% Star Wars. There are people out there who have done other reviews, in-depth reviews on this Star Wars subject. This is just a taster review, and it's just to say how fantastic it is, really, and it is so worth finding again. So if you're a Star Wars fan, it's something that interests you. If it's your way into the hobby, give it a look. Look out for these books. They are out there. They are available. They're not particularly expensive. It is so superior than the stuff that's come later, which is horrendous to say that. But sometimes, you know, all that glitters clearly is not gold, and this is a great case in point of turning what is a good system, good mechanic, and trying to fit it into something else just does not work. If there was a fire in this room right now, I'm afraid I would be tossing that into it. That does not deserve a place at anybody's role-playing game shelf. It's fine as it is, but it's just not Star Wars. This really is. I can't say any more strongly than that. Anyway, this has been Sean Connors. This was Star Wars Review. Until the next time, take care and happy gaming.